That mistake may cost somebody their home. That mistake may cost somebody actually being able
Due to
to
some
still
violent
have their
content,
child,
parental discretion is
because
advised.
authorities may be called, because that person is now not showing up to pick up their child. Or some people don't have the privilege of having a salary job
The
where what
ability, legally, to give him the ability to deport U.S. citizens. That is what they voted for. A bunch of elected U.S. representatives. That is how they voted. Am I telling a lie, Eric, or no?
No, I got mine.
So high competition from here, just look at minuscule, rip apart. Contenders, I represent the little dude. Pause.
Here we go again with the media nonsense of Trump deporting kids. Well, this time, deporting kids with their parents. Last time it was he's separating kids, so they've switched up on that. They were mad because, oh my gosh, Trump is separating kids from their parents. But that's kind of what happens whenever there's when a parent gets detained, the kid gets separated. Am I wrong about that? Let me know. But now that the mothers are choosing to take their kids with them, the media is freaking out, making it seem like Tom Homan and Trump are kicking down doors and ripping kids out of their parents' arms. What do you have to say about this, West Virginia Wire?
Oh, you know me, I'm always wired. I've got something to say about this. So I just love the way the media likes to spin things. All you have to do is just report what's happening, right?
Yeah.
If you want to give your commentary, say, this is my commentary. This is not how they do things. They don't ask, what do you think about this? They tell you this is what's happening, and it's bad, and you should believe this and not do your own research. That's what I've got out of it. But why don't we set this up? We want to thank Nate the lawyer for providing this content that we are about to jump into. And we're going to go feet first into this one.
It's always a pleasure with Nate the lawyer. He does great work.
It is. You guys, we are Mixed and Wired. I'm West Virginia Wire, Regina Connell, here with Mixed Texan Report. You can find us across YouTube, the X platform, formerly known as Twitter. You can also find us on Rumble. All right, guys, without further ado, let's jump in.
Patients are drawing controversy once again. This time, 3 children, all U.S. citizens, have been forcibly removed from the U.S. with their migrant mothers and sent to Honduras.
So now they are deporting American citizen toddlers with cancer. I don't know which of those 3 things is the most horrific.
On the headline, that's a misleading headline. Okay, 3 U.S. citizens, ages 4, 7, and 2, were not deported. Their mothers, who are legally in this country, were deported. The children went with their mothers. If those children are U.S. citizens, they can come back into the United States if there's their father or someone here who wants to assume them. But ultimately, who was deported was their mothers who were here illegally. The children just went with their mothers. But it wasn't like, you guys make it sound like ICE agents kicked down the door and grabbed the 2-year-old and threw him on an airplane. That's misleading.
Yeah.
That's just not true.
So let's look at the headlines about these 3 U.S. citizens allegedly deported to some other country. Now, here's a message from our sponsor, Hillsdale College. Back to the madness. All right, so first I want to start with, there is a lot of misinformation around this case, and it is to the extent where doing this video, I had to do deep research into this topic because the amount of misinformation is incredible. First, let me make that clear. No U.S. citizens were deported. And I know it's sexy to sound that, hey, the Trump administration deported 3 children who happen to be U.S. citizens. And I know if you're looking at headlines across the news media, they're going to say the U.S. citizens were deported. That is absolutely not the case. So first, let's start with Jenny. Jenny is an undocumented immigrant. She came here illegally and she is from Honduras. Now, she was allowed to stay in the country under ICE's Intensive Supervision Appearance Program, known as ISAP. Now, Jenny came here with a young child who is not a U.S. citizen and is also here illegally. And while she...
Okay, so let's just go ahead and pause right there just to keep attention going. Did you hear that? She was not here illegally. There's also been the reason they're wanting to change the laws for if you're born on U.S. soil, you're automatically a U.S. citizen. A lot of countries had changed the dual citizenship laws where in Scotland, if you were born in United States and you were a Scottish citizen, but you were here on a green card, that your child would have dual citizenship until they were 18 years old to decide in Scotland and in the United States, right? So a lot of countries have changed that because of the mass immigration coming through. Now they would have you believe that, you know, families are being rounded up and that they are U.S. citizens. They are not U.S. citizens. As far as the judge's orders there were 2 orders for what's his name? Abrego Garcia to be deported. That was never an issue that he was not to be deported. He was always to be deported. He is not a Maryland man. He is not a U.S. citizen. It's unfortunate a child is drug into this, but this is at the behest of their parents' choices, not the U.S. government.
100%.
Was here in the United States. She had a second child who is a U.S. citizen because they were born here in the U.S. Now, Jenny was always scheduled to be deported, and on April 22nd, 2025, during her ICE check-in, the administration decided to deport Jenny back to Honduras. So Jenny and her children were taken into custody, one also being an illegal immigrant and the other being a U.S. citizen. So the government placed the family in a hotel and scheduled them for removal. Now remember, Jenny is the legal guardian of both of her children, the one who's not a U.S. citizen and the one who is a U.S. citizen. So she legally has custody over those 2 children. And if she's being deported, she can make the decision to take the children with her or not. Now, even though Jenny and her oldest daughter wouldn't be able to come back into the United States, Jenny's youngest daughter would be able to return to the United States because she is a U.S. citizen. Now, there was legal action taken that asked the court to block the removal of the 2-year-old because she was a U.S. citizen and claiming that the government didn't have any authority to remove a 2-year-old U.S. citizen to some other country. But as the legal guardian of the 2-year-old U.S. citizen, Jenny signed a statement in writing that said she wished to take her U.S. citizen daughter with her to Honduras. So with the child's legal guard.
So it sounds to me like, and this, I'm just going to find out if it sounds to you. It sounds to me like the Democratic Party is trying to block just the child's deportation, which they are the ones who are causing the division. They are trying to take this child and make the mother's like, okay, I'll take the kid with me. Can I take the kid with me? And I'll go, you know, but now you've got the Democratic Party who are coming up and saying, no, we're going to keep this child here. And what are they doing? Help me understand this.
So they would, let's just say, they were able to successfully keep the child here, or the mother wanted to leave the child behind with the father, whoever, they would complain again, oh my gosh, Trump didn't send those kids with the mother. It would be the same thing all over again as we saw back in 2019 of separating kids, putting kids in cages. So they're going to find something to say either way, whether the mother chooses to take the kid or not. It's always going to be something. Oh, he's deporting kids for American citizens. Then if you don't take them, oh my gosh, oh my goodness, look at him. How could leave this child behind without the mother? It's always something with these people.
I couldn't agree more. It is. I gotta play it. I'm sorry. I'm gonna play it. What? Stop this madness. Now you can tell
this is what it is.
Right, and I found myself starting to say nonsense more because I hear you say it all the time, and now I'm hearing everybody say nonsense.
Really? I didn't realize I did that. J.D. Vance was asked about the 14th Amendment, and he said, just because, somebody said, this is a nation built on immigrants. He said, just because some immigrants came here to build this nation doesn't mean we should have the stupidest immigration laws in the world 250 years later.
Could not agree more. I could not agree more with that. All right, Mixed Texan. So the next piece of video footage that we're going to take a look at is from YouTube, and it's from Forbes. And this is a quote from Jasmine Crockett. I'm tired of hearing, oh, they made a mistake. Jasmine Crockett promotes due process. Do they really know what due process means? I'm unsure.
Gentlelady from Texas is recognized for 5 minutes.
I'd like to first associate the gentle ladies, my remarks with the gentle ladies' remarks, because something should not be debatable. And one of the things that we know is that the Constitution is really supposed to be a guiding light. And the reason that we're having to do amendments like this one and the other one and talk about things such as due process.
Forgive me, I think she watched too much soap opera Guiding Light as a child. Anyway, let's keep going.
And the Constitution is because we could actually avoid maybe detaining or sending away U.S. citizens if we just gave them their due process rights. Because I'm tired of hearing, oh, they made a mistake. Well, guess what? That mistake may cost somebody their job. That mistake may cost somebody their home. That mistake may cost somebody actually being able to still have their child, because authorities may be called because that person is now not showing up to pick up their child. Or some people don't have the privilege of having a salary job where whether they show up or not, they're still going to get paid. Some people.
Okay, before she continues on with some people, right? I'm hearing a lot of abstract here. I'm hearing a lot of hypotheticals here. I'm hearing, first of all, there were no U.S. citizens deported. None. I haven't even heard of a U.S. citizen being kicked out of the country and their citizen. Now, my citizenship rights were curtailed and stripped from me, my voting rights, all of it, until I got done with, my parole and all of that. When I got released from prison, I had to earn all of that back. But what is she talking about?
I do want to comment on her, though. You see how articulate and proper she's sounding right there, and she's dressed very nicely. That's who she is. All this ghetto stuff is not her. She went to a private school, remember that.
Yes, guys, do remember that. And check out our the panel You Can't Cancel, because we did address that. We showed some footage of her from the first 2 weeks she was in Congress, and she did not display those behaviors that she displays now. All right, let's let her continue on her little rant, and you do notice when she's sitting in Congress, right, from when she's talking or whatever, then she does throw the ghetto things in there here and there. When she gets out the door, that's when she starts with her and her staff doing TikTok dances and girl.
Yeah.
Seriously. Ted Cruz got to be knocked in the head, girl. And Governor Hot Wheels, don't even get me started on Governor Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's continue on. I digressed. I've been doing that a lot.
Need to be at work. And so if you care about U.S. citizens, we know how y'all feel about immigrants. But if you care about U.S. citizens, I don't understand why this would be debatable, because if there's anybody that we're fighting for, all supposed to be fighting for, it should be U.S. citizens. In fact, it's U.S. citizens that are the ones that send us here, not Donald Trump. So with that, we should be looking out. We should have their back. And we should say, as the federal government, we will not do things that are directly going to disenfranchise our citizens. And that's exactly what this is. But if we just followed the Constitution and gave people their due process rights, then maybe they could show up and prevent some of these mistakes. And maybe these mistakes that maybe seem so small to y'all because
Okay, so she's repeating herself a lot, making a lot of double statements. And when she refers to the Constitution and all of that, you can refer to the Constitution. What we really need to define is the true definition of due process, right? That's what we want to look at. But they don't want you looking at that. They want to tell you what due process is and how it works. Their idea of due process is not applicable to non-U.S. citizens. If you are not a citizen of this country, you do not have the right to due process. Let's take it back to the days of Jesus. Let's talk about the Roman Empire, right? Paul was a Roman citizen. That's why he was chosen as an apostate and a disciple of Jesus, because he was the trifecta. He was a Roman citizen. He was a Jew, right?
Mhm.
So he had that. And then, he was a follower of the way. And his heritage, he was a Greek, Roman citizen, Jewish faith lineage. So think about those things. The Roman Empire operated the same way. Paul was under house arrest because he was a Roman citizen. Anyone outside of that citizenship, guess what? They immediately got slavery. They sold into slavery or crucified. And crucified isn't a Christian thing. That was a Roman thing. That's all I got on that one. So, you got anything?
Okay, I don't know if you have this pulled up, but did you see the video of Jasmine Crockett? I don't know if it was a TikTok or something. She posted saying, "How would other countries feel?" Talking about the kids. Yeah.
Yep, I'm gonna pull that up right now.
Legally, to give him the ability to deport U.S. citizens. That is what they voted for. A bunch of elected U.S. representatives. That is how they voted. Am I telling a lie, Eric, or not?
No, I got my stuff here. Mouthful.
Yeah.
How apropos is it that he had a salad, since they use the term word salad so much? I prefer word jam and word jelly. That's just my personal whatever. So yeah. Do you want to keep going? You want to say anything thus far? Or you want to listen to her foolery a little bit longer? I think we need to.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we got to know what they're doing.
I'm stunned.
I'm not. But I'm glad that you. Oh, okay.
Well,
Eric been here longer than me, but like.
So what we said was, we even said, you know what? Many of us will not offer any more amendments tonight. We won't vote for the overall bill. But if you agree to this, we'll drop any other amendments. We'll take the win that this would be in the bill, that you would agree U.S. citizens can't be deported. They voted to allow Donald Trump to deport U.S. citizens. And they did it during the week that we learned that a 4-year-old little girl fighting cancer, a U.S. citizen, has been deported, separated from her U.S. citizen father and her cancer treatment. So, yeah.
He's shocked. Y'all, listen now. I came in with nothing but fools. So he been here longer. So maybe he still has a little bit of shock in his life, but I don't personally. Because the fact is, we used to live in a world in which where we saw the news about that baby that got deported, the baby with cancer, because supposedly he the man that's all about the children with cancer, right? Like, that's why he made sure one of his guests was at the State of the Union was a child with cancer. So surely, even though they're cutting cancer funding, but like, it is a U.S. citizen. Like, there honestly isn't even this real thing of like deporting a U.S. citizen. As far as I'm concerned, you randomly kidnapping folk and you throwing them out of the country against their civil rights, against their constitutional rights. And frankly, how would they feel if some other country decided that they were going to just start throwing people randomly in our country? Like, that is absolutely insane. Like, deporting U.S.
Hold on one second.
As I'm concerned, you randomly kidnapping folk and you throwing them out of the country against their civil rights, against their constitutional rights. And frankly, how would they feel if some other country decided that they were going to just start throwing people randomly in our country? Like, that is absolutely insane. So yes, all I gotta say is y'all need to get these fools out of here. But Deborah is so much nicer about how she says things. She.
Oh my gosh, that is ridiculous. That's two things there. That's exactly what I told you they would say. Oh, they're kidnapping people, throwing them out of the country. Like Tom Homan and his goons are going down, kicking doors down, and snatching babies out of their cribs and throwing them in a van. That's not what's happening. And Marco Rubio was very clear about what's going on. These mothers are choosing to take their kids with them. So here we go again. Oh gosh, deporting kids with cancer. It's just ridiculous. The mothers chose, according to Nate the lawyer, Marco Rubio himself, the mother chose to take these kids with them. And the thing about how would other countries feel if we just, start, what'd she say about throwing people into their country. What do you think happened to us when Joe Biden was president? 160 nations.
Yeah, and well, let's just take a pause on that, right? Because that's a dig at President Bukele and the CCOT facility that we are in contract with El Salvador for them to house domestic terrorists, criminals, and deportees, right? I don't think there's anything in there that stated that they have to be from El Salvador. The case with Garcia Abrego, or whatever the hell his name is, he's not a Maryland man. He's not a citizen, right? So that's the first thing we need to understand. That is their sovereign decision. So we're not just dropping folks off in El Salvador. It's a contract. It's a mutual allied agreement.
Yeah, and then so like I said, what did she think is happening? What do you think happened with Joe Biden when countries where we have millions of people from different countries at our borders? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
She's not paying attention.
She's not. She openly states she's rooting for Canada and Mexico. Mexico and Canada. I can't remember. Yeah, she said that in an interview. Yeah, I agree. So you guys, all the more reason to primary her ass out.
Yes, please do. Get rid of her. She's
so listen.
Back to Dallas. Yeah.
Absolutely. Listen, my curiosity's got the better of me. I just want to hear. I'm not going to listen to 14 minutes of this, but look at this face. Y'all got to see this face.
Oh my gosh.
She wasn't doing real. She's wasn't doing real.
Hold on. Can I do it? Oh, I guess I can't. Oh, well, anyway.
Good, nice lawyers, okay? Listen, I can only imagine how Deborah was in the courtroom, honey. But Deborah also said something.
Judge Deborah. Oh, let's listen to what Deborah has to say, right?
So this is the author of the amendment. And we all thought it was common sense, but as we are learning, common sense ain't.
No, it's not common sense, because why do you have to make a law for something that's already in place? You're spinning your wheels. There's no reason to have to make a law that U.S. citizens can't be deported. That's an oxymoron. It doesn't even make sense. It makes no sense. It's something that does not exist, just like Dr. Fauci making up potions and whatever, making a disease to find a solution for it. I mean, do you guys want to be guinea pigs? I don't know. Let's keep going.
So common.
Yeah. No, look, here's the thing. This amendment was not introduced because it's theoretical. Right. It is actually happening that U.S. citizens are being deported. Not just one, not just two, multiple U.S. citizens are being deported, detained and deported by ICE. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. I introduced into the record the document, the policy document, the law that ICE cannot detain and deport U.S. citizens. Yeah. That's actually the law. Yeah. So it's illegal what they're doing. Yeah. And Ted Lewis.
I can't help it, Mixed Texan. Like I think they've been drinking. I introduced a law. I should get a Nobel Peace Prize for that. I mean, is that not what it sounds like to you? That's exactly what it sounds like. Hey, I mean, if I could throw my,
Yeah, this sure does.
My God.
Oh my gosh.
My God.
Our colleague said, it's batshit crazy that you got to introduce this amendment. He said that on the record. And I said, you know what? It is batshit crazy. But the reason I have to do this
is because they don't follow the law.
Because they're not following the law. And then I asked the Republicans what they're doing. And Ted Lieu, our colleague, said, it's batshit crazy that you got to introduce this amendment. He said that on the record. And I said, you know what? It is batshit crazy. But the reason I have to do this
is because they don't follow the law.
Because they're not following the law. And then I asked the Republicans on the other side, you were elected by U.S. citizens, by constituents. And you are now saying, if you vote no on this amendment, you are saying that you're not going to stand up for the constituents, the U.S. citizens
that you work for,
here. Right. And it was just
the ones that pay your check.
Now, I did notice.
Okay, so my first thing, Mixed Texan, Now, I don't know if you've ever been a partier, drinker, any of that, ever did a little whatever. So I used to work in the bar. Rusty and I were partiers. This is the kind of behavior you act like after you've snorted a few lines of cocaine, you've been drinking all night. This is what I did. And you would believe, I mean, I felt like I was at I can't even come up with the term. How does anyone take that seriously?
Well, that actually goes. Well, that's her putting on her sister girl act. You know, as you saw before, and when she was speaking before, she was all in the prior video we showed. She was speaking all properly. Then now she's like, "Girl, this girl, the ones that pay your check."
Mm-hmm.
It's total BS.
Trump's ability to use ICE illegally to detain and deport U.S. citizens. Because if you don't, you should be speaking out right now. And if you do, we are in a whole hell of a lot of trouble.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm already at the point that we are in a whole hell of a lot of trouble, to be perfectly honest. And the other thing that Pramila is too nice to say is when you looked across that aisle, for those that sit on judiciary that decided to take this vote, the reason that they can sit there and take this vote and not even blink is because so many of them sit in privilege. When I look across that aisle, I don't know. I think we have one person that may have a little bit of melanin.
Who cares about the melanin? But please tell everybody what her net worth is as she's talking about trying to reach out to grassroots folks. What's her net worth? I think it's upwards to 9 million, 10 million.
Oh my gosh.
What is she scared for? She has money.
Yeah, she doesn't need this $174,000 a year that we pay her.
I'm just amazed.
I don't know if you want to say anything. He over here trying to eat. But what you got to say for the people, Mr.
Why you keep recording these people eating?
Yeah, he eating. He say no.
I'm ready.
Okay. New York in the building.
Damn penguin.
We in New York understand.
He does look like the penguin.
Most of us, constitutional law. We understand constitutional rights, and that's why we only have 5 Republicans.
New York, that's 5 too many, y'all. It's 5 too many, New York.
A few of whom will.
You see how they continuously make it about party and not policy, right? You just heard out of her mouth, that's 5 too many in New York, right?
Yeah. That's why New York is in such a mess.
Mm-hmm. And we don't want to see them talking while they've got mouths full of food. That's gross. I don't want to see that.
I don't want
Do you want to see that?
No, I don't care to see that at all. But, oh my gosh. People.
I mean, the other guy was like, no, I don't want to be on camera, but
Due process found.
Due process found in the 5th Amendment to the Constitution.
Constitution, y'all.
And what does due process mean? It means like before they deprive you of your life, your liberty, or your...
You must be, but before all of that, you must be a U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
Say it again. We gotta keep saying it. I think I'm gonna put words all across. You know, you must be. I'm gonna put up. What did he just say? The 5th. It's gonna go up. We're gonna have some great content today, baby.
Oh yeah.
Property. You get to hear what the charges are against you. You get to put on your evidence, as Jasmine Crockett has done as a lawyer and as a member of...
In which they received it. Garcia received it twice. He received it twice, and both times was deemed that he was involved in gang activity. They have all the evidence, so they said you have to be deported. The only whatever clerical error was, he said he feared for his safety in the country of El Salvador, which I don't understand how that could be the case since it's the safest country in the world now. But anyway, so you got any closing thoughts? Because I'm not sure that I want to hear any more of this. We'll go one more again. And
Their way, this country would only be full of Elon Musk and Trump and they other billionaire friends and whoever is willing to work for them for little to nothing and have no health care and not be able to really afford food and not be able to afford a roof over their head, because we are working on reconciliation, meaning we are working on the budget. And so what we were saying
Okay, we know what she was saying. Why don't you take us out, Mixed Texan? My name is Regina Connell with West Virginia Wire, and Mixed Texan's going to give the final thoughts, and we're going to close out. Tell us what you think, man.
Well, as you see, Jasmine Crockett still bobbing her head, yapping away with her sister girl act that she puts on when she leaves the house floor.
She showed a little cleavage.
Oh yeah, and is she going to, when it really comes down to get this no tax on tips passed and all that? I want to see where she stands on that.
Oh, she tells everybody you have to give a little more to help the community out. We have to help each other out. We have to help Ukraine out. Yes, I'll find that footage and we'll watch that next time. That's what she says. That's what she runs on. But I am going to find her. I'm going to go to her official website and Act Blue and all of that to see what her official, because she openly said, I'm not working on any policies. I'm just trying to fight for you. What exactly is she fighting?
Cash to
You
people.
want to fight for the American people.
Yeah, follow the money and where it goes. And it's about kicking working people in the teeth, propping up people who don't need.
They're acting like they're encouraging people to follow the money when that's exactly what we're doing, and that's what they're upset about. That's all I got, man.
Yep, you want to fight for the American people, you get this no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, you get that passed. Otherwise, you're just doing a lot of this. So get that done, pass no tax on tips. Jasmine Crockett, if you want him in re-election, get behind. Just because it's the Republicans pushing that doesn't mean you can't support it if it's good for the American people. So yeah.
I couldn't agree more. All right, guys, that's all we've got. My name is Regina Connell with West Virginia Wire.
This is Mixed Texan with Mixed Texan Report. Give us a follow on X, Rumble, and subscribe to us on YouTube. And hope you enjoyed the content. We will see you next time.
All right, guys, be blessed. See you on the flip-flop and the next one, whichever comes first.
Yeah, I smile cause I'm the favorite. I'm supposed to get an applause. I work hard for this shit. I'm supposed to be better than y'all. And no, I never fall or spin the block with a pivot. But wait, he's over 38. Okay, yeah, I get it. You do this shit for a deal. I do this shit just to chill. I mean, music is therapy. Would be good if it paid the bill for. This is a PSA to the Twitter Spaces.